Till was born in Chicago, Illinois, to Mamie Till and Louis Till on July 25th, 1941. Emmett was always an ambitious child, even after a childhood case of polio left him with a stutter. On what was possibly going to be his 14th summer in Chicago, Emmett Till begged and pleaded his mother to let him go with his cousin Wheeler Parker to visit their relatives in Mississippi. Eventually, his mother let him go, and after strictly lecturing him on the things blacks had to do in the South because of the Jim Crow laws there. Emmett Till was at the train station when he gave his mother his watch. "I won't need it where I'm going," he said, and he kissed his mother goodbye. Emmett's family lived in the small town of Money, Mississippi. They were cotton sharecroppers. His uncle's name was Mosey Wright, and his aunt was Elizabeth Wright. A sharecropper barely made any money from their job. After they pulled their share of the crops, the owner of the land would take interest, rent, and the cost of the plant. One of the racist families in Money, Mississippi were the Bryants. Roy Bryant was the head of Bryant's grocery mart, and Carolyn Bryant, his wife, worked there. Roy's half-brother, J.W. Milam, often lends Roy his truck because they are very poor and cannot afford a car. Emmett Till once set off fireworks inside the city limits, which was illegal in Money, Mississippi. He was a black, so the consequences could be nasty, but he did not get into trouble, even though he did not know the ways of Mississippi. After a supposed dare to flirt with a white woman, Emmett Till went into the shop to buy candy. When Carolyn Bryant held out her hand for the money, Emmett Till grabbed it and said unprintable words to her, also calling her baby several times. Carolyn then left very quickly. Before she could, Emmett whistled at her. A week after that, Emmett Till was suddenly taken from his home in the night by J.W. Milam and Roy Bryant. He was never seen again, but many witnesses reported hearing Emmett screaming from Milam's barn and seeing his clothes lying about with blood on them. Emmett's decomposed body had been sitting at the bottom of the river for a week before he was found. The sheriff had proposed for a quick burial in Mississippi, and not on Mamie's watch. Despite the grievous pain of loss she was suffering, she had the body sent to a local funeral parlor in Chicago. Explosives had to be set off outside the parlor to neutralize the smell of the body. Mamie nearly collapsed on the coffin with grief. Although others pleaded her not to look at the body, she did. And when she saw it, she wanted his funeral to have an open coffin. She said she wanted the world to see what racism did to my boy. Milam and Bryant were taken into police custody and were going to be taken to court. Many blacks highly doubted they were going to be found guilty, however, because the judge, Curtis Swango, was one of the most powerful racists in the entire county at that point. Threats and bribery would probably be taking place too, even though the jury was already chock full of racists. So nobody's surprised the verdict came out innocent. The jury said that there was no proof the body belonged to Emmett. Mamie spoke many times at events and marches about her son. The civil rights movement started to grow, involving many more marches and riots. Much more violence started, however, but soon after the blacks won their true freedom like they should have 150 years ago. They had to work very hard to achieve their freedom, which involved lots of sacrifices and suffering. But after a while, the racists decided to give up and treat blacks like human beings instead of animals or property. In the end, it was not Emmett Till's death, but Mamie's choice to give him an open coffin, exposing the world what they had done to him, that made the civil rights leaders realize it was time to stand up and do something about black people's treatment. But even after this, daily violence continues to happen to black people just because of their race, such as the Michael Brown shooting or the murder of Trayvon Martin. And that makes a small, slightly dormant civil rights movement stand up and propose justice on the racists committing these crimes. Emmett Till's murder showed that blacks can get awful treatment for even doing the slightest things, but as long as an upstanding white man calls them out for it, serious trouble may occur, and the form of torture or even lynching.